In the spring of 1925, in a luxury hotel suite in Paris, a man in an impeccable suit shook hands with a scrap metal dealer and sold him the Eiffel Tower. Not a model. Not a photograph. The actual tower, 7,000 tons of iron standing over Paris. The man's name, one of his names, anyway, was Victor Lustig. He had no title, no government position, and no legal claim to a single bolt of that structure. And the deal went through anyway. The dealer paid. Lustig vanished. And here is the detail that turns a good story into a legend. A few months later, Victor Lustig came back to Paris and sold the Eiffel Tower again to somebody else. Nobody hunted him down after the first sale. No police report was filed. And the reason why is the real secret of this story, because Lustig's greatest weapon wasn't the fake documents or the rented suite. It was his understanding of exactly what a proud man will do to avoid looking like a fool. Stay with me, because by the end of this, you'll see his playbook running in scams that are happening right now, maybe even in your inbox. Before Paris, Victor Lustig had already lived a dozen lives. Born in Austria-Hungary in 1890, he was educated, multilingual, and, by every account, almost supernaturally charming. He spoke 5 languages. He dressed like old money. He had the manners of a diplomat and the patience of a chess player. While other criminals of his era used guns, Lustig used something far more effective, a calm voice and a well-cut suit. He spent his early career working the great transatlantic ocean liners, floating palaces full of wealthy passengers with time on their hands. There, he perfected a small masterpiece called the money box, an elegant mahogany machine that, he claimed, could print perfect $100 bills. It just needed 6 hours per note. He would demonstrate it, let the mark watch 2 real bills emerge, and then, reluctantly, agree to sell the machine itself for tens of thousands of dollars. The buyer would rush home, wait 6 hours, and print exactly 2 more real bills, the ones Lustig had loaded inside. By the time the machine started producing blank paper, Lustig was an ocean away. Notice what he was really selling. Not a machine. A story the victim desperately wanted to be true, money for nothing. Remember that engine? It's about to lift a tower. The Eiffel Tower scheme began, as many great cons do, with a real newspaper article. In 1925, the Paris press was discussing a genuine problem: the Eiffel Tower was aging badly. Built for the 1889 World's Fair and never intended to be permanent, it was expensive to maintain, streaked with rust, and there was real public debate about whether the city should simply tear it down. Most people read that article and turned the page. Lustig read it and saw a door standing wide open. Because inside that clipping was everything a perfect con needs: a plausible story, backed by a real public controversy, printed in a real newspaper. He wouldn't have to convince anyone that the government might sell the tower. The press had already done that for him. This is the first gear of the machine, and it's worth pausing on. A great con never asks you to believe something absurd. It finds something you already half believe, and simply steps inside it. Lustig commissioned a set of official-looking documents, gave himself a title, Deputy Director General of the Ministry of Posts and Telegraphs, and booked a suite at one of the most prestigious hotels in Paris. The stage was built. Now he needed the audience. Lustig sent private letters to 6 of the city's leading scrap metal dealers. The letters were masterful, discreet, official in tone, and flattering. Each man had been carefully selected, they said, for his reputation and discretion, to discuss a confidential government contract. Not one of the 6 was told what the contract was. They arrived at the hotel suite, and only then did Lustig reveal it. The Republic of France, he explained with practiced reluctance, had decided to demolish the Eiffel Tower and sell it, 7,000 tons of iron, for scrap. The public would react badly, of course. Which is why everything had to remain absolutely secret until the papers were signed. Look at the architecture of that moment. The secrecy wasn't a weakness in his story, it was the engine of it. It explained why the men couldn't verify anything with the ministry. It made them feel chosen, elevated, inside a circle ordinary people would never enter. And it started a quiet auction inside each man's head. 5 rivals are sitting in this room. Only one of us gets the tower. Lustig barely had to sell anything. He just laid out the bait and let their own ambition do the pulling. Within days, he had his mark, a dealer named André Poisson, ambitious, newer money, hungry to prove he belonged among the establishment. Exactly the kind of man who needed this deal to be real. And now comes the touch that separates a good conman from a genius. As the deal progressed, Poisson's wife grew suspicious. Why all the secrecy? Why a hotel suite instead of a ministry office? Poisson hesitated. He asked questions. A lesser con artist would have piled on more documents, more reassurance, and spooked him. Lustig did the opposite. He took Poisson aside, lowered his voice, and confessed, "You see, monsieur, my government salary is modest. Men in my position, arranging contracts of this size, it is customary that we are, shall we say, remembered." He asked for a bribe. And in that instant, every one of Poisson's doubts evaporated. Because suddenly, the strange secrecy, the hotel suite, the hurry, it all made sense. This wasn't a scam. This was simply a corrupt French official, and corruption, to a businessman of that era, was the most familiar, most believable thing in the world. The imperfection made the story real. Poisson paid for the tower, and paid the bribe on top of it. Lustig had understood something most people never learn: perfection looks fake. A flaw, carefully placed, is the most convincing document there is. Within hours, he was on a train to Vienna with a suitcase of cash. Now, the moment you've been waiting for. Why did no one come after him? Lustig sat in Vienna and read the Paris newspapers every morning, waiting for the scandal. It never came. Not a headline, not a police notice, nothing. And slowly he understood, André Poisson had told no one. Think about what confession would have meant. Poisson would have had to walk into a police station and announce, in front of witnesses, that he, a serious businessman, had bought the Eiffel Tower from a stranger in a hotel room. The story would have made him the laughingstock of Paris for the rest of his life. His marriage, his reputation, his business, all of it was worth more than the money he'd lost. So he swallowed it. And this is the final gear of the long con, the one that makes the whole machine run. Shame is the con artist's insurance policy. Lustig didn't need to outrun the police. He had designed the crime so that reporting it cost the victim more than the theft itself. And that is why, months later, he could do the unthinkable, return to Paris, book another suite, gather 6 new scrap dealers, and sell the Eiffel Tower a second time. The second attempt eventually unraveled, the new mark checked with authorities before paying it all, and Lustig had to flee. But he was never charged for either sale. The tower scam simply never officially happened. Men like Lustig are never caught by the con that made them famous. They're caught by the one they couldn't stop running. He crossed to America, where he ran his money box on bankers and even conned Al Capone himself, and walked away not only alive but with Capone's respect, by returning Capone's money and playing the honest man in distress. But in the 1930s he went into mass counterfeiting, flooding the country with fake bills, and counterfeiting, unlike embarrassment, leaves evidence. Federal agents arrested him in 1935. Even then, he stayed in character. The night before his trial, he escaped from a Manhattan detention center by climbing down a rope of bedsheets, waving to onlookers below as if he were a window cleaner. Recaptured weeks later, he was sentenced to 20 years and sent to the one address even he couldn't talk his way out of, Alcatraz. He died in prison custody in 1947. On his death certificate, under occupation, someone wrote, apprentice salesman. Even the paperwork got one last joke. So let's open the machine one last time, because Victor Lustig's Playbook did not die in Alcatraz, it's running right now, in your email, on your phone. Gear 1, The Borrowed Truth. Every great con starts from something real, a real news story, a real crisis, a real institution, and steps inside it. Gear 2, the chosen circle. You're not being scammed, you're being selected, exclusive investment, secret opportunity, not everyone qualifies. Exclusivity switches off the part of your brain that checks. Gear 3, the placed flaw. The story that's a little imperfect, a little corrupt, a little too human to be fake, that's engineering, not accident. And Gear 4, the insurance policy, shame. The modern victim of the crypto scheme or the romance scam stays silent for exactly the reason André Poisson did, because reporting it means admitting it. That silence is what keeps every long con alive. So here's the immunization, and it costs you nothing the moment someone offers you a deal that is secret, exclusive, and urgent, all three at once. You are not being let into a circle. You are being measured for one. And if you ever do get taken, speak loudly. Shame is their armor, not yours. So tell me, which gear of Lustig's machine have you seen running in the wild? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one.